Today, good morning, Munchkins. Today we're going to read two versions of a story. You're going to use what we've learned about looking at characters, setting, and events to compare and contrast each version of the story. I want you to pay close attention to the pictures, and I want to explain to you the title of this story is The Ugly Truckling. And when you hear the word truckling, and when you have ling at the middle, that's sometimes used for baby or young animals. Like a young antling would be a baby ant. A young gosling is a little baby goose. A hatchling is a baby alligator, turtle or snake or bird. A fingerling is a baby fish. A yearling is a baby horse. A spiderling is a baby spider. So when they're referring to truckling, that's a baby something. So we'll have to figure that out as we read the story. The story is titled The Ugly Truckling. In this box here, you're going to read these words. These are words that will be in the story. Beams, haul, bale, propellers, reflection. Okay, The Ugly Truckling by David Gordon. And if you could follow along with me, please. Way out west, a mother truck admired her new trucklings. She smiled at their big round wheels and their strong flatbeds. But one of the trucklings was not like her brothers and sisters. This truckling's wheels were small and narrow. She didn't have a strong flatbed. To make matters worse, two strange beams stuck out from the sides of her body. The next morning, the little trucklings followed their mother carrying rocks and bricks and wood in their little truck beds. But the ugly truckling could barely haul a small bale of hay or pull a log. All the other trucklings laughed at her. "Why do you have 3 wheels instead of 4?" asked one of her brothers. "You'll never be a good truck," said another brother. The ugly truckling was very sad. She was afraid he was right. So late one night, when the sky was black and starless, the ugly truckling sped away. The next morning she met a tractor. "Good morning," said the ugly truckling. "Who are you?" "I'm a tractor," said the tractor. "Am I a tractor too?" "You're no tractor. Tractors don't have propellers on their noses." "Oh," sighed the ugly truckling, and she sped away. The ugly truckling looked at her reflection in the pond. Suddenly she heard a loud roar overhead and looked up. She wasn't an ugly truckling after all. She was a beautiful airplane, and so she flew away with the other airplanes into a sky full of stars. So, what is the ugly truckling mostly about? The ugly truckling is mostly about the young truckling, how it was teased by her brothers and sisters. And she discovers she's an airplane and not a truck. Okay, let's turn the page. We're going to go to page 378. And this story is The Ugly Duckling. And we're going to read this story, and we're just going to answer the questions on page 379. And that's all we're going to do for today. The Ugly Duckling. Once upon a time, there was a baby duckling who looked nothing like his brothers and sisters. His feet, we'll start again, guys. Words to know: swooped and stretched. Swooped, stretched. The Ugly Duckling by Hans Christian Andersen, and it's retold by Nicole Flowers. Please follow along as I read. Once upon a time, there was a baby duckling who looked nothing like his brothers and sisters. His feet looked like big paddles. His feathers were gray, like old dishwater. The other ducklings at the pond laughed at him. They said that his quack sounded like a broken horn. So one day, the ugly duckling left the pond to find a new home. Soon, the weather grew cold. Each time the duckling saw a bird, he asked, "Am I one of you?" But the birds told him he didn't look anything like them. The winter was long, but finally spring came. One day the duckling saw a group of beautiful birds. Their feathers were snow white, and their necks were long and graceful. "I know I can't be one of them," the duckling sighed. But one of the birds swooped down to where the duckling sat. "You are a swan like me," the bird said. "Come with us." The duckling walked over to a puddle of water. That is when he saw that his ugly gray feathers were gone. He was snow white like the other birds. His neck was long and graceful. And so the duckling, really a swan, stretched out his great wings. He flew into the sky with his new friends. So, I want you to think about how the ugly truckling and the ugly duckling react when they realize they are different from their brothers and sisters. Both the ugly truckling and the ugly duckling react by leaving their families to find a new home with others like themselves, right? In the ugly duckling, every time the ugly duckling sees another bird, he asks whether he is one of them. What does repetition of this question and the answers from the bird he meets tells you about his search to find others like himself? Well, when I was reading it, it was telling me I think he repeats the question every time he sees another bird, and then he searches all winter, and the search, I think, it had to be long and difficult. But it isn't until the spring that the ugly duckling realizes he's grown into a beautiful swan. What might the ugly truckling and the ugly duckling say to each other if they met one day? I was thinking about that, and I think they might ask each other about their mothers, about their brothers and sisters, and ask how they felt when they found out who they really were or what they really were. So let's look at page 379. And we're going to look here where it says think. Use what you learned from reading the stories to respond to these questions. Part A. Both the ugly truckling and the ugly duckling leave their families. How are their reasons for leaving alike? Is it A, both find it hard to do their work at home? Is it B, both are laughed at by those close to them? Is it C, both want to escape the cold winter weather? Or is it D, both want to make new friends? Think about what you read in the story, go back and look in the story, and pick your answer. Circle the letter, correct letter. You can pause me here while you're going through the stories, and then you can come back and play it and find your answer. Meanwhile, I'm going to go on and read part D to you. Part B. Which two sentences from the passages show how the truckling and duckling are alike? Now you're going to pick two choices and circle the letter that's correct. I'll read them. I'll read the choices for you. This truckling's wheels were small and narrow. B. All the other little trucklings laughed at her. C. The duckling walked over to a puddle of water. D. The other ducklings at the pond laughed at him. E. He was snow white like the other birds. This is the point where you need to go back to the story, look in the passages, and you're going to pick two answers. You need to go back to the story, both stories, and pick the answers. Put me on pause while you do that, and then you can unpause me and put me back on play when you're done. Okay, I'm going to read question 2. How is the ugly duckling different from the ugly truckling? A, he is happy with his family. B, he asks many questions. Or C, he likes the way they look. Or D, his looks begin to change. There's only going to be one answer. So again, you can go back and skim the two stories and then pick your choice and circle your correct choice. And that's all you have to do today, and we'll finish the rest up tomorrow. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.